Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my watercolour supplies of 2017. Before I get into the supplies, if you see anything that you want to check out, all the materials are listed in the description below with a link of where to find them on Amazon. So to begin with, the paper or surface that I use is the Saunders Waterford paper, and this is in the £300 weight, so the thickest that they do. I really like this paper for watercolour because when I put down the tape to secure it to the table, it doesn't peel off and leave fuzzy bits. It really holds the colour really nice, it makes it nice and vibrant. I don't get hardly any warping with this either, and I just find it really nice to work on. The paint goes down really smoothly and I'm really happy with the surface. So then we get to my actual watercolour palette, and the ones that I use are the Winsor & Newton Professional series, and I bought a 24 pan tin, and I've actually purchased some additional pans, just some of my favourite colours that I like to use in my work. I purchased those additionally and I've added those to the middle. So I really like the box for these watercolours because you can actually take the watercolours out and then you can have the box separate and use it as a mixing palette. So it's really handy if I don't want the box alongside my work, because I actually have another palette. I can take the watercolours out and just have them in their little metal tin here, and it's much easier to work with as well. So you have a strip running down the middle of these that you can actually add your own pans to, so you can add more colours like I have done. I've actually added, I think I added about 10 additional colours to this palette. So the ones down the middle, I've got a turquoise blue, and I've also added a really nice pink as well. But I really like this watercolour palette. Before I've used the Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolours, and I found that the colours from that really kind of get a bit fadey after a while, especially if you add a lot of water or work in wet and wet like I like to. But the Professional series really hold their vibrancy, so I've switched to those. Next we have my palettes. This is just a Daler Rowney palette. It's got little circles to hold all of your paint and mix all of your colours. The wells are not too deep, but they're not too shallow. It's just enough to mix small amounts of watercolour in there. So it's just a simple palette and one of the essential tools which I use for mixing colours. So next we move on to my brushes, and I actually use a variety of different size brushes and different brands. So the one I'm showing you now is a Pro Art brush, and this is one of the brushes that I use most in my work. This is a round number 1 brush, and I use that for small details and other bits, especially on my watercolour mini portraits. So the other type of brush that I have is just an Art Master Pearl round brush, and that's a number 12, and I've also got another Pro Art round brush in size 7, so I use those more for larger works. I then have a really tiny brush. This is a Pro Art 4/0 brush, and again I use this for really tiny details if I'm creating really small watercolour work. The next brush is another Pro Art brush, but this is the one that I use to apply my masking fluid to my paintings. As you can see, the bristles are a little bit flayed just where I have used it quite a lot and cleaned it to get all of that masking fluid out. So the final brush is a water brush. This one I'm not exactly sure of the brand because I got it in a scrawler box and I cannot remember for the life of me what brand it is because it was on the packaging. But basically it is a brush that you fill the barrel with water, so you don't actually need a container of water to dip your brush into to add water to the paper. So all you do is squeeze the barrel and it comes out the bristles, lovely nylon bristles on the end there, and I use this mainly for washes and things to put down as first layers on my pieces. The last brush is a hake, and this is a Pro Art hake. I really like this when I'm working on larger pieces for doing a really big wash background, and it's good for really loose work as well. I don't often use this one, but when I do work on big pieces, this is my brush of choice. Next up we have my masking fluid, and I like to use the Daler Rowney masking fluid. This is the one that I've found is best for my paper. I've tried a Winsor & Newton masking fluid and it actually peels up quite a bit of the paper when I put it down. I'm not quite sure why, but I prefer this Daler Rowney one, and this is in a 75ml bottle. So this is what I use to protect areas of work that I don't want to add any paint to. Next up is my gouache. I just use one colour of gouache, and that is the Winsor & Newton Designer's gouache in permanent white. This is a 14mm tube, and this is what I use to add all of those tiny little white splatters that you sometimes see me add towards the end of a painting. So to hold my paper down to my desk, I just use an acid-free tape, so I like to use the Scotch Magic Tape, and I just add this to all four sides of the paper. This also helps to stop it warping and stops it moving around when I'm recording time lapses and things like that. The next supply is my white gel pen, and I like to use the Uniball Signo gel pen. It's quite nice. It does clog up every now and then when I'm working on top of coloured pencil in some pieces. It's not the best pen, but it's the one that I use for now. So next up are the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens, and I like to use these as my fine liner. So I use two different sizes depending on what I'm drawing or painting. I use the F size because it's got a nice fine tip. It's not the finest tip of the Faber-Castell Pitt pens, but it's the one that I like to use. I find that this size is suitable for most of my work. I then also use the brush pen in the Pitt Artist pen. Both of these colours are black, by the way, but the brush pen I like to add larger areas of black to. So if I've got quite a dark area that perhaps the fine liner is going to take forever to colour in, then I like to use the brush pen to do that. So they are all of my watercolour supplies, what I use to create my mixed media pieces. Obviously there are some coloured pencils I use to my mixed media pieces, but I will cover that in a coloured pencil supply video, which will be one of the advent videos for you guys. If you've seen any supplies here that you want to try out, the links are in the description down below. I would really like to know what you guys use as your supplies in your watercolour paintings. Do you use similar things to me? Are there things here that I haven't mentioned that perhaps that you use? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, then give it a thumbs up, and a share is always appreciated with your arty friends. If you haven't done so already, then please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon to be notified for all my future videos, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye!